How's it going, guys? And welcome back to Katawa Shoujo. It's been a while, so let's not waste any time. Let's get on with it. Where the hell did I get to? That's not it. Shit. I don't remember. December 2nd. That must be it. It's a good thing there are dates on them. Ha! Finally reaching the classroom after the usual walk from the dormitories. Has it really been 2 months since I last played? Damn! I step inside. My eyes immediately turn to the third seat on the left of the back row, Haneko's seat. It's empty, and after glancing around the classroom, it looks like she isn't here yet. The 2 girls from newspaper club are here in the 2 seats on the left of Haneko's. Are in the 2 seats to the left of Haneko's, as are Shizen and Misha. But that's about it. We exchange morning greetings before I take my seat. I have to admit that this is a bit of relief. This gives me at least a few more minutes to think. Not that I have been doing so previously. Ever since our trip to town, Haneko's been on my mind. I still don't know what to make of my relationship to Haneko. I like her. I can admit that much to myself. I want to protect and shield her from the pain she feels. I really don't think my feelings are just those of friendship anymore. But that said, I feel like I don't even know her. If I made a move on her, how would she take it? Is she in an emotional state that allows her to make a reasonable decision about a relationship? How would she cope with anything that might happen afterwards? There's also the possibility that I'm just completely misinterpreting Haneko. Not a difficult thing to do with someone whose social skills seem to be so undeveloped. The sound of footsteps comes up to the door, making me perk up. It ends up just being Miki. She barely acknowledges my existence when I accidentally make eye contact with her. I'm about to look away, but another person comes in not long after she takes her seat. I feel myself freeze as I see Haneko enter. This isn't a rational reaction, but I have no idea how I should how I should act or what I should say to her. For a moment our eyes met. And then, just as quickly, she looks away and moves to her seat without saying a single word. About the picture down there, somewhere, it's something I found somewhere, I don't remember. I'm not sure what's divine now. I think it was somewhere in Google. I found it on Google. Image search. Thought I'd use it. As I'm now usual for the period following classes, my face is buried deep in a book that I found thoroughly uninteresting. Studying is not something that comes naturally to me. I didn't study a lot before coming to Yamaku. Until now, I've largely managed to coast through on talent alone. It's frustrating that I can't do that anymore. Judging from the faces of the other few students in the library, I don't think I'm alone in my distaste for this. Usually loves company, I suppose. I decided to spend lunchtime with Haneko, since we haven't had lunch together for a while now. I might as well have spent the time studying. Though, aside from pathetically small snippets of small talk, there was barely a word said between us. Why does she keep doing this to me? I just want to protect her. To be there for her, but every time I feel like we're coming closer, we end up further away. Are you busy? Hanako! My head whips around in surprise, causing her to retreat in fright. That was bad timing. If I hadn't been thinking about her at the very moment, I probably wouldn't have been nearly so startled. Sorry, you startled me. I find myself staring at her longer than I should, so I go back to the text lying on the table in front of me. I feel more like I'm just staring at the words rather than actually reading. I get the feeling Hanako can notice this as well, so I sigh and close the book. What's up? I have just wondering what you were reading. She looks a little downcast after my reaction to seeing her. Giving up on this prospect of getting any more work done, I get up and return the book to its place on the nearby shelf. Just an English textbook. Has it helped? It helped me realize that I don't like English. Yeah. Hana gives me a small giggle. I may muse on the strange state of our friendship, but I do know that such little gestures are things that I wouldn't see were I not at least some distance closer to her than we first met. Adjusting. I look at her for a moment, thinking about what I do and don't know about her. It's a slightly depressing topic. Is something wrong? If you want to know more about her, maybe I should stop being so evasive about it. Talking with Lily as an equal rather than being constantly in fear of causing her to become upset worked fine. So I should just try a straightforward approach with Hanako as well. Hey Hanako, do you mind if I ask you a question? I don't mind. I want to know what your life was like. Your life before coming to Yamaku. She hesitates. I briefly consider backing off, but she seems to be taking the question quite seriously. And I sit and watch her, silently letting her take her time. She's not making eye contact with me and looks almost as if she's arguing with herself into getting herself open up to me more. Her answer finally comes in a stiff, almost reluctant nod. She looks far more tense than she did before I asked. Okay, but in return, you have to tell me about your life as well. I nod and follow her, and she begins to walk out to the library so we can talk. By now, most of the students have already left the main building, so apart from a few people hovering around club rooms, the hallways are largely empty. I guess we'll start with coming to Yamaku. Let's see. I was in the hospital when my parents first told me about Yamaku Academy. The doctors told me I shouldn't go to my old school anymore. My parents agreed and persuaded me to apply for Yamaku, even though it would mean living away from them for the first time. It must have been hard for you. Well, yeah, I have to admit that it was. My parents both work long hours and full time, so having to live reasonably independently wasn't anything new to me. It was the fact I was going to a school for disabled students that hit hardest, I think. And you? A small group of chatting girls passing us and we neared the stairs, with Hanako pressing herself tightly on my side until we reached the ground floor. She doesn't usually come this close while just walking into school, so I'm left a little put off. The staff at the orphanage offered me some options on what I could do. Middle school hadn't been good, so I thought that Yamaku might be better. It was isolated, and I thought it might be easier to get by here with most of the others being disabled. It's pretty ironic that the reason Hanako looked forward to Yamaku are the exact reason I hated the idea. To me, it felt like I was being shunted somewhere away from society. Everyone I knew, that was probably an inviting prospect. What was life like at the orphanage? It was okay. The staff there were nice, and they took care of us. The children there didn't talk to me much, but I didn't really want to talk to them either, so I didn't mind. The orphanage had a little library, so I started to read to pass the time. The staff didn't mind it, because it made me easier to handle than many of the other children. You didn't make any friends there? No, I think my life was on hold during that time. I knew that, but I didn't mind. To think her life was on hold for all that time though, depending on when the fire happened, there was a huge chunk of her life. No parents, no friends, apparently no relatives. We walked through the door into the courtyard. I expected need to avert my eyes from the sun, but by now it's well into sunset. Hanako's eyes keeps flicking to me, so I look away from her for a bit. What was it like in the hospital? I quickly clear my thoughts and try to refocus them. I hesitate for a bit, but I know that I have to tell her. We're close enough for her to feel comfortable telling me this. So it's only fair that I reciprocate. What? There's some words I just don't know how it's pronounced. It was okay at times, but at others it was pretty bad. At the beginning, everyone sent their sympathies and came to visit often. It was just like breaking an arm or something. Meeting all my friends was one of the good times. Iwanako came in often as well. More often than anyone else. But there were bad times too, when my friends slowly stopped visiting. I began to realize how grave my situation was. It reminded me that this wasn't just a broken limb, but that was now a different person than before. Even the times Iwanaka would spend with me became torturous. By the end, we were reduced to silence, whereas before she'd be talking constantly. But that's how Iwanaka always was. She may have been a fragile person, but she would talk constantly to try and hide the fact. Not about anything in particular, just talk. I think the three lowest points would have been when my parents told me I wouldn't be going to my old school anymore, my birthday passing while in the hospital, and when Iwanaka left for the last time. We leave the school building behind us. As we begin to follow the main path through the gardens, there have been the odd bystander in the school buildings, but outside, we're practically alone. What was your middle school like? I liked it. I grew up in a really metropolitan area, and the middle school was nearby, so it was pretty crowded. I didn't mind it, probably because I'm used to being in crowds and around lots of other people. I got good marks, and I played soccer with my friends. I spent a fair bit of time hanging out with them after school as well. Did get teased a bit over my hair though. Your hair? I grimaced a little and as I put my hand over my hair to cover it. I'd keep getting tufts and strands that refused to flatten or stay where I wanted them. And my mother wouldn't let me just get my hair shaved. It had a habit of popping out, no matter how much I tried to brush it down. Damn it! There we go. It still does, a little. I was worried I'd get that reply. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I give a mild laugh and I wave it off. It's fine, I know it still does. It feels strange to have someone act so interested in my past. If it were anyone else, I'd think they were just acting polite. But that's something I really don't think Hanako would do. Or if she did, she'd do it so badly that it would be obvious. There are a number of girls in the common room on the ground floor, and Hanako presses herself to my side once more as we pass them. I expect her to break off, but she continues to cling on to me as we walk towards the stairway. Something about the way she's holding on to me feels different from the usual. I'd left deep in thought as we walk up the stairs and down the hallway. It's only when we stop that I look up and realize that I've been following her without question. Why did we come to your dormitory room? She looks straight at the door without so much as a glance in my direction. Hanako? She moves to answer, but stops herself. Instead, she silently breaks from my side, opens her door and steps inside. I look up and down the hallway, a bit lost to exactly what I should do. Shrugging, I decide to follow her since I don't have any reason to do otherwise. Hanako stands in the middle of her room and looks straight at me. It's unnerving when she does this. As it's such an unusual action for her, I open my mouth to speak, but she preempts me. Could you close and lock the door? Hanako's hand reaches for her chest, grabbing her blouse at her heart. I turn and lock the door shut, then freeze. The atmosphere is beginning to feel quite strange. This feeling is only made more profound when I hear the curtains being pulled behind me. It's going to be night soon. We're a guy and a girl in a bedroom. She's closing the curtains and I'm shutting and locking the door? She can't. She can't really have that in mind. Can she? I gulp and turn around very, very slowly. Hanako is in the center of the room, but hasn't turned back to face me. You told me about your past, so I have to tell you mine. She takes a deep, shuddering breath and pauses for a number of seconds. Her hands move to her ribbon and begin to tug, all but confirming my thoughts. Hanako, please, don't say anything. I obediently stay hushed as she slips off her ribbon and continues to unbutton her blouse before working the clip on her bra. The process is slow. Perhaps it just feels slow because of what she's doing. I'm not sure. Frozen to the spot, all I can do is watch as Hanako, hands trembling, unclips her skirt and lets it drop to the ground. Drop it. Oh my god! Oh, okay. I thought it was like, it's probably the wrong time to think about that. Finally, she takes her blouse in her hands and dresses it off, her bra falling from her shoulders. And so, Hanako stands in the middle of the room, all but bared, save for her stocking and underwear. Should I make this a thumbnail? Well, it's not that, like, naked. This is me. All of me. Whoa! My eyes are immediately drawn to the scarring on her back. The skin on her thigh, right side of a similar texture to that of her face, but it's also stretched taut and covering a much larger area. The scarring is far the worst of the shoulder, buttock and thigh. Buttocks. A buttock. Just as my heart attack redefined my life, this is the event that redefined Hanako's. If I'd seen this when I first met her, I'd have been shocked, not only at the sight, but also at the idea that something like this was survivable. But after having had time to get used to the idea, and after seeing the scars on her face, hands, and collar, my reaction is more measured. My reaction right now is not due to her scarring, but to her body. The fire happened when I was 8 years old. It was night, where they were sleeping when it started. Hanako's voice trembles, shaking of her blouse, giving away the fact that her hands are doing just the same. I curled up in a ball. When the fire swept over me, my mother tried to shield me. I was the only reason I lived. Hanako's eyes began to moisten, her voice cracking under the combined pressure of exposing herself to me like this and reliving those painful memories from so long ago. I want to say something. I need to make her feel better. I can't though. I feel completely useless when faced with a situation like this. She's forcing herself to come so close. Yet it's at a time like this that I feel most distant to her. I'm sorry for making you see this. There's no point in denying the obvious. I think what I should say now and what Hanako wants me to say now is the truth. What I genuinely honestly believe. It doesn't matter. You're a wonderful person, Hanako. Your body doesn't change that. She looks at me for a long time, her breathing uneven as she tries to remain steady amidst the emotion we're both feeling. It feels less like she's looking at me than she's looking through me. I slowly walk towards her and gently place my hands on her shoulder and she lets go of her blouse. She gasps a little, not in fright, but in simple startlement. Being so close to her causes my mind to become a jumble of feelings. The scarring on her shoulder, plain to see and leather-like to the touch, conflicts strangely with her otherwise soft skin and silky dark hair. Hanako is a girl with all that entails. She's taller than usual for a woman, but still has curves in all the right places. The nape of her neck, just visible thanks to her hair slung over her shoulder, is alluring. I know I'm not that pretty, like Lily. I just wanted you to see me, the real me. I already seen the real you though. You didn't need to take off your clothes for that. Whoa! Okay, her lips are open, just a little. She lets out a sharp breath as, without thinking, I breathlessly lean forward and press my lips to hers. You're probably thinking why I was like always surprised when some kind of nudity scene comes up. I don't know, it's just my reaction, I'm sorry. The kiss lasts. I'm not used to playing these kind of games where like nudity just appears, like, I don't know. I'm just doing let's plays of these kind of games where there's nudity appearing. Visible nudity. Not like in Shinra and Kagura. Like, there is nudity but it's kind of censored in the right places. The kiss only lasts for a fleeting moment before our faces part. Our breathing quick and nervous. The feeling of Hanako's mouth lingers. My eyes remain locked to mine. Trembling a little myself, I remove my tie and begin undoing the buttons of my shirt. Hanako remains standing where she is, looking at the ground in front of her rather than watching me undress. On the one hand, I'm thankful for that. It's always been somewhat self-conscious of my body, but my scarring has made it that quite a lot worse. On the other though, this atmosphere feels very strange. My shirt falls to the floor in a heap. As untidy and crumpled as Hanako's blouse and skirt, Hanako's entire body visibly flinches at the sound of the zipper of my trousers being pulled down. Whoa! You're gonna get it on? In this very emotional thing? My charge is during my shirt on Hanako's floor next to the bed. As do my stocks in short measure. I hesitate before taking off my boxers and end up leaving them on. Yeah, I'm gonna censor this with Spiderman memes again. They represent one last hurdle I don't think I can overcome quite yet. Sheer embarrassment stops me, along with not wanting Hanako even getting even more worked up. My unease about the situation has also left me needing my own stimulation. Hanako. She gives a nod without so much as glancing at me. I makes her way to the bed as I do. She walks as if her legs were wooden sticks. I find it amusing if I weren't doing exactly the same thing. I take the initiative, turning around and sitting on the side of the bed. I look to her face to invite her to take a seat either next to me or in front of me, but I end up awkwardly looking down to stop myself from staring at her body. Okay. How should I censor this? Just censor like that? Nevertheless, she takes her cue and reluctantly sits between my legs. As she does, a rush of sensation hits me all at once. The feeling of her behind against my crotch is the most obvious, but her scent is just as strong. She worked up a slight sweat already from her nervousness. And the smell of feeling of her hair is washed across my face. I try to put it on a smile to try to make the situation a bit comfortable for her, but it feels really stilted. Deciding to try and move things along, one hand finds itself on her breast and the other rests on her leg. Her lips purse tightly together as she tries unsuccessfully to suppress the squeal of surprise at the action. Sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. Hanako takes a breath and shakes her head as her only reply. A gulp comes from deep in my throat. Before beginning to move my hand around and feeling the massaging her breast and nipple, it feels really nice giving way underneath my palm with just a little firmness. For a while I don't think it's helping her to get into the mood at all, but slowly her eyelids begin to lower. Her breathing slows to a more rhythmic pattern, and her body begins to relax into mine. It's newly satisfied to be able to make Hanako feel like this. Definitely better than the feeling of her body alone. I can sense a little hard bump brushing against my fingers. That wasn't there before too. Uh-oh. I slowly move my hand downward, trying not to surprise her too much. She gives no protest, and my fingers soon begin to move up and down the softness groove between her legs. Her body is pressed against mine by now, a thin sheen of sweat on both of us. She feels warm, and all this has more than served to arouse me, as well as her. Hanako gives a small gasp, my fingers pressing a little harder and moving a little faster, almost instinctively. The girl in front of me, the girl pressing against me, I want her. All of her. Should I censor this, or is the text censoring it all by itself? I mean, I stop moving my fingers, making Hanako give a long breath of relief from the feeling welling up inside her. Her face looks to mine a little, silent but expectant. All I do is nod. I don't know which one of us is more apprehensive right now. I push myself back into the bed, extricating myself from Hanako with a certain amount of reluctance. For her part, she slides back and lies down on her bed, and on her head on her pillow, breathing heavily all the while. Oh my god. Oh my god, I have to like censor the whole picture here. Because you can like see that through the text. I'm gonna insert Spider-Man's all over the place. Hanako lying in front of me, her panties darkened, her chest heaving, her face flushed, and her eyes looking into mine. Her scars just make her look all the more unique. I'm left without words, and she'd allow me to see her like this. I bring myself closer to her, closing my hands on her waist. I wait for her to nod before taking the delicate holes of her stockings, taking them up a bit as gentle as I can manage. I don't think I can get them off without tearing them, so I end up leaving them on her legs and moving her panties aside. Hanako lies practically naked on the bed. The most delicate parts and the scarring of her body are now plain to see. How did this, like, very emotional storytelling of the past lead up to this? I don't understand. Bringing my fingers to her crotch, I stroke her a little more, causing her breast to catch. She should be okay if she's this aroused. So I open my boxes and move myself up a little on the bed. Hanako's entire body tenses as I bring myself closer to her. Her eyes widening. She's scared? I take a long breath before realizing something I should have thought of before. I close my eyes and concentrate deeply. My heart thumps away as I focus my mind on this beating. It's faster than usual, of course, but the beat is regular. I think I can keep it in check if I take this slowly. Are you okay? I open my eyes and look at her. I guess that must have looked pretty worrying to someone else watching me. I'm okay. I'm just making sure that I was. She hesitates a little before nodding. She looks a little less afraid than before, so maybe showing her that I was also worried helped her reassure her. I lean over and press my lips to hers, our tongues tentatively touching. I can feel her body becoming less tense under mine, so it's getting both of us back into the right mood. Then I remember something and pull back. I lean over to the side of the bed to where my trousers are. My hand reaching for the back pocket, I feel around blind for a few seconds, until a little foil square brushes just underneath my fingertips. Oh, what? I quickly pull it out and right myself on the bed, sitting back from Hanako a little and fiddling with the packet. It takes a little while for everything to go on correctly, but eventually the rubber sleeve covers what it should, fitting snugly. You had a condom ready? My slight confusion at my first time trying to work a condom seems to have amused her a little. As I position myself over her, we share a small nervous laugh now though. I need to try and concentrate. Concentration! I look down and try to get my knees and waist in what I think are the right places. And take my... It says penis! And take my penis in a slightly shaking hand. Hanako's face is looking at mine, but her eyes are pointed down at where her crutches meet. With a short breath, I position the head and push my hips forward. Ah! Oh god. I don't know if I should show this. I mean, is the storytelling like very sexually? That's like, oh my god, you can't show this on YouTube. But then again, there are worse things on YouTube, so I guess this is passable? In one stroke, I push myself fully inside of her. The rush of sensation and emotions fills my head, and Hanako yelps in pain. I guess it's fine as long as I don't show, well, the nudity. As long as I censor it like correctly, I think it's fine. So I don't think I would get so much in trouble. I didn't get in trouble for the previous with the... I forgot her name. It's quite amazing. I don't know. Looking at her face makes me uneasy. I mistakenly pushed too hard and too fast, and caused her more pain than necessary. Either of us really knows what we're doing, and the last thing I wanted her was to hurt her. Oh my god. The face! Hanako opens her eyes again and looks towards me. She must have seen how troubled I look, as she tries her best to put on a happy face. It's not very convincing at all. I look down and begin slowly to move my hips again, after giving her a few moments to recover. The movement feels really unnatural, and I can feel muscle moving all over my body, my lower body, that I haven't felt moving this way before. I know I'm putting stress on my heart that I probably shouldn't, as well as with every movement I keep track of my heart's beat. The feeling inside of Hanako is soft and warm, and if not for the condom deadening the little of the sensation, I doubt I'd be able to last very long at all. Her soft gasps and constant movements don't help at all either. Oh my god. Too cute! For Hanako's part, the look of pain doesn't really seem to be dissipating as I'd hoped. Her scar tissue causes one side of her body to move a little differently from the other. Strands of her hair are by now sticking to her face. I put my arms around her body to lift her up a little. After some squirming for the both of us, we try positioning ourselves a bit differently to minimize her pain. With my hands holding her legs, both of us are moving in less and less measured movements by now. The smell of Hanako fills my senses, and from this position, I'm not stressing out my body quite as much. The sense of time seems distorted, and I feel like I'm starting to get faint from hyperventilating. I want Hanako to feel good though, and I can't stop now that we've reached this point. A new wave of pleasure suddenly begins to wash over me. Whoosh! My feelings are beginning to well up, and I don't think I can control them anymore. I speed up, concentrating less and less on pacing myself. Every time it feels like we've found the rhythm, we lose it in our movements. From the sound she's making, I don't think this position helped Hanako feel much better. And I don't think I'm going to be able to hold her much longer either. I turned and lay her back down on her bed, both of us well beyond the point of doing anything but reaching the end. One thrust after the another, I begin to feel the point coming, frantically tensing myself to try and stave it off as long as I can. Hanako! Hanako gives a small shriek and my mind blanks. As my mind blanks, my waist hits hers with a fair amount of force as I hit the point of climax. And I can feel myself twitching inside of her. Her body twists and turns under mine, only heightening the feeling of euphoria. Euphoria. I'm about to shoot my stuff. And then after a couple of seconds, it ends. The sound of Hanako breathing and my own rings in my ears, almost painfully loudly. Hanako holds an arm over her face, her mouth open and gulping in air. As I hold myself over her, suddenly my arms gave in. Well, my arms almost gave way and my vision distorts, as if someone grabbed it and pulled sideways. I let myself fall sideways onto the bed beside the panting Hanako, for fear of falling into her instead. We both lie beside each other, naked, and pressed against one another in order to fit on a bed made for a single person. My eyes try to focus on the ceiling, to not much success. Pulling a blanket over us to stave off the cold is all I can do. The only sound in this room is that our breathing. The sweat that had accumulated on my body feels uncomfortable. We're both physically and emotionally exhausted, and a complete mess all over. Oh god. It's starting! My vision slowly begins to return to normal as I continue to stare at the ceiling. But my limbs still feel like jelly. I try to concentrate on my chest and find its beat irregular and mildly painful. This is dangerous time. I have to think this through and not panic, lest I make my situation any worse. With a huge effort, I take control of my erratic breathing, forcing myself to make long deep breaths. I count half a dozen before I start to feel physically calm again, and press my hand to my chest to assure myself. My heart beats back to normal. I'm okay. The heart attack is coming back! Okay, we finished the sex scene. Now, let's save the game. Faraway presence. Shed library. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I have voice recorded, but just in case, I'm gonna click this one. So this is it for Katawa Shoujo for this day. I know it's been like 2 months since I last played Katawa Shoujo, I'm sorry. But I'm gonna leave you guys with a high five. Oh my god!